And we are live.
Great, thank you. So we will call our strike force meeting to order. And Ashley, if you would please do the roll call
Sure. Chair Tom Farrell,
here.
Meredith Knight,
Here.
Wallace Grainer,
Here.
Phil Dixon,
Present.
Drew Flahive,
Here.
Jeff Green,
Here.
David Smith,
Present.
and Mo Goyle.
Here.
Right.
That's all we have joining us for right now, but we may have some more joining soon.
Yes, we have a couple coming in late that have let me know, and then Ryan is not going to be able to make it today. Okay, public comments. Do we have any citizens that would like to speak? Ashley, I can't see any hands, but
I don't see any hands raised at the moment. If you are joining on your computer or your phone, at the bottom of your screen, you should have the ability to raise your hand, and I don't see anyone at this time.
okay. And just a reminder on each of our items, if anybody would like to make a public comment, feel free to do so, and we'll make sure that comes in. Next item we have is our consent agenda, which is our minutes from the January 11th, 2021 meeting. And if you've not had a chance to read these, they are on our website. And if we could I get a motion to approve the minutes as is, and then we'll give an opportunity to anybody who wants to make a correction or addition. So could I have a motion, please?
Proposed motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? And thank you, Drew. We have a second. Any discussion or additions or corrections that we'd like to make? And if you just raise your hand or signify to Ashley. Not seeing any. Ashley, do you see any? Then we'll do it the same way we've been doing it. If it's okay, if you want to vote affirmatively, just keep your hand down. If you want to be negative, raise your hand on the vote. So I'll call the vote, and I will ask for all those in favor. And I see no hands going up negative. So we will say all those negative. Not seeing any. So the motion is approved, and we have adopted the minutes. Item number 3 is an update from the Bee Cave Road Subcommittee. David, I believe that's your bailiwick.
Yeah, the update is the holidays were upon us, and so not a lot of movement. Amber and Ashley and the city crew were nice enough to get a couple of large map copies printed out for me that for working copies. That makes it a lot easier than operating off of 8x10s that I have to go back and try to read my handwriting and tell what the heck I was working on. So I appreciate that. Tom, I think one of the things that I would like to do is go ahead and get a Bee Caves Road Subcommittee meeting scheduled. And this is a kind of side question to Amber and Ashley. Are we now as a strike force meeting every other week, every other Monday?
Yes.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah. So what I'd like to propose to do, Tom, is have us get together as a subcommittee next Monday at 4, and kind of take the time that we would typically be doing on a weekly basis and do a subcommittee meeting. I'm happy to host and set that up, or Tom, I don't know if it's better to go ahead and set it up through the city and record it, or what the best format is, but I'm open to thoughts.
Ashley, could we do that for next Monday? You have time to set that up?
Yeah, we can absolutely start the Zoom meeting and get it recording and do everything y'all
I think, David, that would probably be prudent to do.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea, especially for the first meeting in any event, to set up, record it. And that way we can allow people who, aren't necessarily on the subcommittee or subcommittee working group, who might have an interest otherwise, to join us as well, and either comment or be part of the discussions.
Right. So if we will set that, you want to do it 4 o'clock and.
Yeah, let's do it 4 o'clock
Okay.
on the first.
Okay.
Thank
And-
you all for your help.
And Ashley, if you'll send that out. And again, those that are on the subcommittee certainly would like to attend, but anybody who wants to listen in can certainly listen in. It's a public deal. So in this case, Ashley, we might go ahead and we have time, let's just post it and just for full disclosure and just get that done for the first meeting.
Sure.
Actually, if we post it, don't we need to do an agenda too?
We do.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the only thing about posting it, Tom, is if we post it, we need to do an agenda for it. And I mean, we could do kind of a real simple, open agenda, actually, that I'm happy to work with you on. When would we have to have that posted by?
We have to have it 72 hours in advance. So
Okay.
it'll be Friday at
Right.
4.
Okay.
If y'all want to reach out to us at City Hall, and we can also just go about posting, just as a news article and let people know where it's going to be if y'all don't want to go the agenda minutes route, but we can work with you either way.
I think on the first one, it would probably, in my preference, David, is go ahead and post it.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And I think Ashley, we could do just a real simple agenda. And if you want to float me in the next couple days, kind of just a agenda template, I can get it turned around and give you any notes on it I think are necessary.
Sure. That'll work.
Thanks.
Thank you, David. Discussion on the BK Road Subcommittee and any public comments we have would be item number 4 on our agenda. Do we have any other comments? Wally, you gonna be there?
I'll be there.
There we go.
All right. Like to hear, Wally.
So, and Meredith, I believe you're on there also, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Great.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that that was kind of one of my goals in kind of setting it for this, this 1 p.m. time slot. My hope is that, since people are kind of tuned into this, having had our meetings at this 1 p.m. Monday time slot in the past and also in the future, that we'll have pretty good participation.
Great. Okay. Very good. Any other comments, or do we have any public comments on item number 4? And not seeing any, we'll move on. Item number 5 is an update from the Single Family Subcommittee. And Mo, I would like for, if you don't mind, I have got a couple of documents which I need to try to track down from the city, which I think would be very useful for doing this. And our A-team, in all honesty, asked me about when it was, and I have yet to remember when the darn thing was done, but I'm going to figure that out and get a copy of that. There was a task force that was tasked with doing something very similar to what we're looking at. And I thought that would be a good starting place. I think it was several years ago, but I thought that'd be a good spot. And once we get that, maybe you and I could sit down. I do have a map of all of the single family lots in Rollingwood, which are just, it doesn't mean we're not going to replat or anything, but it does show there are a few little outlots that make a difference. We have one single family lot that's actually zoned commercial, for example. And then we have one lot that really doesn't have street access in Rollingwood. So there's a few like that we'll have to kind of look at. you'll have to put your innovation hat on with those. I'll just say that. So, but I'd love to sit down with you on that. And again, anybody else that wants to do that, we'll make sure we sign the time to do it. And I will commit to having that information and have those documents to you this week, so that we can maybe meet over next week sometime on that, if that works for you.
That'd be great. Yep, totally works for me.
Good.
Thank you very much.
And Ashley, I will get you the year that was done. That's the best I can. I just don't recall when it was. So so we will get that and get that going. Item number 7 is an update from the Tax Rate and Bond Subcommittee. And Phil, I don't see Brooke on here, but I think Brooke said she was going to be out of town. So
The update is there is no update.
there we go.
Last time we did Brooke was going to add the new language, and it was now part of the whole packet with respect to the AA bond status.
Excellent. Well, I think y'all were well ahead of everybody else. Y'all did a great job, and I think that was a very useful document that I saw on that. So I certainly appreciate it. So,
Thank you.
okay, we'll move on. And update from the Utility Subcommittee, and I think our numbers are going to come there. We still want the engineer, our city engineer, to verify these numbers. But when it came to water, I think we're going to, where we are right now, and he's not given us the final calculations, we're probably using about 50% of our capacity on that. Amber, jump in if my numbers are not correct. And on the wastewater, we started with 1,017 service units, LUEs, and I think we're using somewhere between 500 and 550. I think that's where we're going to be on that. And some of y'all might have been on the call earlier when Amber and I were talking, but I couldn't remember. We have an extra, just to bring everybody up to date on that, our contract with the city of Austin is not based on how many gallons we pump. It's based on how many gallons per minute we pump. We do have a limit per minute of what gallonage we can pump. So when the system was put in, we put in a extra holding tank that we could store wastewater if for any reason we needed to do so, and then pump later on that night, pump 24/7. And that, I couldn't remember how big that tank was, but I think our engineer is now certified that it's 100,000 gallons, which should be it should cover us for quite a while if we had to store in there. Hopefully we'll never have to use, it's never been used since we put in the sewer. Let me put it that way. So, well, I shouldn't say that. As far as I know, it's never been used. We can't get anybody to be brave enough to go down there and check, but you know, the ones that are there. So, but I don't think it's ever been used on that. So we should have those final numbers from our from the engineer that he certifies to us maybe next week.
Hope so.
Okay. Yeah, I understand he wants to be correct, and that's good. So there are a couple of little issues that I'm going to go through with him on the wastewater, because we have one of our residential units of houses that's actually served by Westlake Hills. And we have, I believe, 6 or 8 of our commercial properties are served directly by the city of Austin. And then we have about that equal number that are still on septic systems. So obviously, as we go through that, I think that we have to look at it from a standpoint of if we change the use of any of those properties, they may have to count against our LUEs, or we count the ones that are on the that are not on sewer yet, that are on septic systems, that we count those and they get, they should probably, in my mind, get first dibs on wastewater when it comes available on that. The reason that they did not get put on there is the road was too narrow for us to put that there. If we'd put a sewer line there and they widened BK's road, we'd have to move the sewer line. Now, unfortunately, we thought 20 years ago that they were going to do that remaining part of BK's road fairly quickly, and we could have caught up with adding that in. Wally, I think that's accurate from your memory, isn't it? Wally? Oop, he must have gone off. But that's, we currently don't have the ability to put those in there until we know what the roadway right of way is going to end up looking like. So, and Amber, I don't have an update on the roadway, but since that's kind of connected, that might, if you have any information on that, now would be a good time to kind of share it.
At the council meeting, Amy and Wendy presented their transportation strategy report.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to check out the last city council meeting and see what they've got on there as I guess some of the things they were hoping to address and some of the things that are going on with regard to BK's road, gives a status update as to that. I'm working on scheduling a meeting with City Council and TxDOT to see if we can get any traction on that project again. Ashley, anything else? I think that's probably, yeah, I would recommend going to the council packet and getting an update, reading over that report.
Yeah, I was on part of the city council meeting, but I think I left before that. I didn't catch that part. Wanted to, but I had a basketball game that was critical with my grandson, so I had to go to this basketball. I wanted to go to the basketball game, so doing my duty. Thank you, Amber. And if I remember correctly, it probably hadn't changed, but the biggest issue we have right now is TxDOT has to find the money to be able to do BK's road. And they've not come up with the money yet to do so. I think that's really the bottom line, isn't it, right now? So, okay. Item number 11 is an update from our survey subcommittee, and Ryan couldn't join us, but he did leave me a little note, and the survey was presented to the council, and we have, and they were asked to contact us with their feedback. I think we have gotten some from a few of the council members, which we will probably be meeting here soon to look at, but that's really the update on that. I think we didn't have anything that came up on that. Do we have any other comments on the survey portion of that anybody wants to bring up?
Are we thinking that the survey is mostly ready to go?
I think the survey is, I think it was a great effort in putting that together. I was really, really proud of everybody that did it. And Brooke, you worked great on it. And well, everybody did. I think there's probably going to be, we want to probably at least look at and try to incorporate some of the I would guess. I don't want to speak for Ryan or Brooke, but I think you want to incorporate some of the comments that the city council may have on that. That would be my guess. And I think it'll be ready fairly soon, I would hope. But if we need to, whatever time it takes to get that right, that's a very critical part of what we're doing. And I really think that I'd rather make sure that that's, I think Ryan said this too, getting it right is more important than getting it done on any kind of time schedule. So we'll work it on from that standpoint. Does that
So
make
I'm not on that. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thank you. I'm not on the committee. What's the proper avenue for being for giving feedback to that committee?
the best way, the way I would prefer it be done is if you can make your comments to Ashley, she can distribute them to the subcommittee and to the whole group. I think that's the best way to do it. That way we have, everything is, we don't run afoul of any of the regulations in regard to open meetings and all that. That just is a very simple and straightforward way to do it. And it's a very open way to do it too. So.
I mean, I can just like put comments in the doc or like edits in the doc and send that to Ashley. Is that what we're like? That would be great.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Ashley can give those out on that.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Perfect.
Excellent. Okay. Any other comments on the subcommittee for the survey? Not seeing any hands. Okay. Discussion and public comment, possible action on report for future opportunities. I am working on that and I will have that submitted to our group, hopefully, if not by Friday, by Monday. I've actually written it up and I just need to have it edited, make sure that I have an editor here, my wife, who reads my stuff and tells me whether it makes sense or not. So as soon as that's complete, I'll send that out to everybody to take a look at. It's a draft, but I just went through, I met with the city staff and the mayor to go through and make sure that I was covering the points. And what we're trying to look at is if a future opportunity for growth comes up that's not within our city limits now, how would we look at it as a city? What kind of factors would we take in? Now, obviously, every single thing that comes in is going to be a different one of a kind. So that would be something that we would have to start with on this. It would not be part of a document to do it. And I'm proposing that this be an addendum to the to our comprehensive plan, not be a chapter in it. So I hope that makes sense on that. I mean, we do have some, there's some properties around, for instance, Hill Country Middle School, which is not within an incorporated city. And the reason, of course, it's not an incorporated city is it doesn't produce any taxes. Now, there are advantages to, say, the city of Rollingwood. If we have the legal opportunity to annex Hill Country, it potentially would have a benefit to our city because, number one, we already provide the policing to Hill Country. And so that's a big expense that we would have. And number two is it would open up the city so the city would then be eligible for safe road program grants from the feds, which could potentially be worth quite a bit of money to the city to City Rollingwood on that. So, and the purpose of what I'm trying to do on this is just start off with a draft that says, okay, we would look at it from a financial standpoint. We would look at it about how it affected our city, any way that we would look at it. And that's what I'm trying to do. And my draft is certainly just a draft. And when I bring it back, I'd like everybody to make as many comments as they want and make whatever changes we want to go forward on that, or throw it out. I'm not sold 100% that it needs to be in there, but since I think there may be some opportunities for our city, I think it'd be prudent to at least be thinking about that before that opportunities may come in. So I hope that makes sense. So any questions? Mo? Oh,
I'm good. Thanks.
no. Good. Item number 14 is a discussion and possible action on engaging professional partners to draft the comprehensive plan. So right now we have Pegasus that the city council has, actually our charter, our charge that we have from the city says that we are to work with Pegasus to work with that. And so if it's not Pegasus, we'd have to go back and get the city council to change our charge. I think that's fair to look at. What I would like to do, let's say without going out into doing an RFQ, we have basically two opportunities. One would be Pegasus and the other would be
Bowie.
Bowie.
Be in
Bowie.
company.
Sorry, my mind slipped a bit. So what I would like to do, and I'd like to do it with as many members of our task force that would like to do it, is sit down with each one of these and kind of go through the rules of engagement about how we would expect, what we would expect from our somebody drafting this for us. You know, we don't want, I'm speaking for myself, I don't want to have this drafted with any kind of preconceived notion from our group that's drafting this. I want them to be able to actually put on paper what our subcommittees and what our groups come back with, and not have that been, I want it to be our work rather than the professional planners' work, even though they have to draft it. And I hope that made sense. That kind of rambled a bit. But I would like to sit down with them and work out, just go through what my expectations is. And again, if anybody would like to do this, they're certainly welcome to sit down with me on it. David, I got you. And anybody else, I'd like to make sure that we, and Brooke, I got you. I would like to be able to kind of come away from that so we could make a recommendation to the city council one way or the other and start drafting on this.
So Tom, just to make sure I understand what you're saying, are you saying you want to sit down with Pegasus and you want to possibly sit down with Bowie and Associates and kind of talk with them about what they would do if they were tapped, kind of as a precursor to giving kind of our recommendations back to the city or back to the city council?
I want to make sure that that everybody on our task force is comfortable about who is drafting these documents on that. And I want to make sure that whoever's drafting them understands what our expectations are of them going forward on this.
Yeah,
Now, I obviously, you know, Pegasus has done a lot of work on this. And I'm not, I think they deserve first shot on this, and I'm willing to do that. And we should go back to them. And in my opinion, I don't think there's a financial, and Amber, help me a little bit if I misspeak on this. I don't think there is going to be a financial negative either way. I think it's going to be a wash regardless. Is that reasonably fair?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So now the other issue is, of course, we could go out for an RFQ and RFP if we needed to. That's not something that I think we should do. But I think that that's also a possibility. If we come back and go, we're not happy with either one, then that's our option on it. So I don't have a timetable. I would certainly make sure that I keep, whatever time we have, I'll make sure that we do it we try to coordinate the time that we can visit with them on that. And I would anticipate it would take, 30 minutes to an hour for each one.
No, and Tom, kind of, tearing off of that, I think it's critically important because at the end of the day, the report has to reflect and has to be in the voice and the words of this task force. And so, I'd be interested in being involved in those talks, but I think there's also some ways to use, we have a lot of subcommittees set up. That's taking a look at a lot of things, and basically, sitting out Pegasus, and then also, Bowie, to the extent that kind of what they bring to the table would lend itself to be helpful. See how basically the subcommittee structure and what's coming out of the subcommittee in terms of output is going to also help dictate and inform what needs to be in the final report itself. And, obviously the goal is to have a report that reflects the proceedings and the voice of the task force, and that's going to require really as little editing and redrafting as possible by the members of this group. Although, knowing the folks that are on here, I don't think any of us are afraid to redraft or edit where needful or necessary. So thanks for being mindful of that, Tom.
Excellent. Well, I also don't want to say that we're limiting this to just these two. These are the only two that we have under contract with the city right now. But it doesn't mean that's, I don't want to say that there's not other options. And that's what I'm trying to throw that out. If we have other options, I'd love to hear them on that.
Hey, Tom, how was Pegasus picked in the first place? Does anyone have?
I'm gonna try to, because I've looked at this, I tried to look at this, explored. The first time the city council went out for proposals, we got 0 proposals. So they followed up with a secondary chance. And I believe we got 2 at that time, did we not? And
Correct.
Pegasus was one, and I can't remember the other one.
Ashley, do you remember what his firm's name was?
It's Chance Sparks, and he's with, I'm drawing a blank.
I know.
It's Drew, we can get that information. I've looked at it. I didn't recognize either one.
Reese Nichols.
Yes. I know it's kind of like K-Freeze.
Yeah, but then they're not related.
No.
Well, they may be related, but their companies are not the same. And the city council chose Pegasus at that time to do that. Now,
So there was a full RFP process where first round, no one came back. Second round, they were 1 of 2.
Yeah. Rollingwood has we're a small city, our budget, to me, these are big numbers, but in relative terms to consultants, frequently we get 0 proposals for cities the size of Rollingwood. Not that we're more trouble than we're worth, Drew, but some consultants go, for the time I fool around with somebody like the city of Rollingwood, I can get the city of Cedar Park, and they'll pay me 5 times as much, and I'll do about the same amount of work. So it's not just this consultant. That's happened several times that I'm aware of, where we don't get a lot of different. In fact, one time I think we looked at changing our building code officer, and we put that out and got nobody, which we had to go back to the existing one and asked him to please make a daggone proposal to us. I don't think that's been several years ago, and we're doing that in-house now, which is a little bit safer for us, I think. But that's, that happens frequently to cities the size of Rollingwood on that. Now, the other problem, if you were a consultant and you had to deal with Rollingwood, you have to go in, you have to look at this, and this is a fairly close community. They look at Rollingwood and they go, Rollingwood's full of incredibly bright people, and I can go write a report and give it to XYZ city. They look at it and they're happy. They never look at it. They never question us, and we're done. It comes to Rollingwood, people go read it and go, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. We have people who are experts in our own fields, and some of those fields that these consultants come in on. So I wish I had a better answer, but that's, we have a few. Bowie came in because they're under contract with the city, an existing contract, because they did the branding deal, and they did a couple other things for the city from a PR standpoint. They do have, if I understand correctly, they do have done some comprehensive plans for some smaller cities also on that.
That's right. I think they were responsible for Bastrop's plan in communication engagement. So they've got experience in that.
Well, this is kind of a critical time that we're getting ready to have to start writing on this. And I wanted to make sure that we as a group felt real comfortable about who was doing this. And I not only wanted to make sure that we were comfortable about who was doing it, I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to make sure that they knew what our expectations were of doing that. And David, I thought you said it extraordinarily well, that it's our words and they write it, they're going to put it into some written form on that, but it's our thoughts and words as a citizens of Rollingwood that go in there. So anyway, that's Drew. I hope that answered your question.
It does. Thank you.
Great. So I've got, and just because I've got Brooke and David, anybody, once we get a time to talk to them, I'm going to make sure that Ashley sends that out to visit with anybody that can be on that Zoom call and ask whatever questions. I want everybody to get 100% comfortable about who's going to be writing this, and any comments we have that we want to extend to them. I'm using that as a benchmark to make sure that they are meeting the terms of the commitment that we're giving them to do. I want them to make sure that they know what we're going to ask of them and that they're meeting that commitment on that. So I hope that, and as soon as we get a time on that, I will do it. We do have and this is something that I don't know that I have seen, we do have a qualification sheet on both of those two firms, because they've had to submit it when they did the deal. And if we could send that out to the group to look at, if you don't mind, Ashley. And is anything else anybody would like to see while we're getting some information out? Okay. So as soon as we get that, we'll know. Now, let me make sure I'm saying this 100%. If somebody has a different idea that we could go get anybody else, let me know, because we certainly, I want to make sure that we're all comfortable as we go forward with this. Jeff, did you have a comment? Oh, sorry. So, okay. So let me just rehash a couple things. You're going to meet, the BK Road Subcommittee is going to meet Monday at 4 o'clock, and we'll send that out and do an agenda, and that'll be posted. Brooke, when I took up item number 7, which was the tax rate and bond subcommittee, I think, did you have any comments you'd like to make on that one? Brooke, you're muted. Still muted. Oh, there.
Nothing new to add, Tom.
Okay, great. And then Mo, you and I will have that to you this week, and then we can kind of start from that and get that done, so we can get that finished up. Okay, and I think Mo, you're going to send some comments on the survey.
Yes.
No. So, do we have any other public comments? I didn't see any hands. Right. Okay. Does anybody have any other thing they want to bring up today? This was a short meeting, which is good.
I have a quick question, Tom.
Yes, Phil.
And it's something that when we order things online, and I don't know if it's for this subcommittee, but I thought I'd bring it up. The auto population for our address is Westlake Hills, even though it's Rollingwood. And I don't know if that has any impact for any sales tax and things, that software that's out there, and whether that's something we can look at.
We have, we battled this for 30 years. Well, more than that, probably. Actually, most of mine that come up lists me as Austin.
Okay.
Automatically, that's what it lists me as Austin. 78746 turns out to be Austin, and I have to physically change it. From a business standpoint, for sales tax, periodically, the city historically will go back to the comptroller's office, give them a list of our addresses, and they will either take it from Austin or Westlake Hills, wherever it went, and put it back into our coffers on that. The troubling one is you and I individually, when we order something online, and that, I think over the years, we've sent out, good Lord, many notices. Please check it when you go out, because that's our money, sales tax, But you're right, it automatically goes to something else. And I actually have some online vendors that I use that I can't change it. I change it to Rollingwood, but then it changes itself back when it comes in. And Amber, I don't believe the comptroller, the sales tax on online sales for residential is kind of still up in the air a little bit. For a while there, I thought that the legislature passed a deal that said that we were going to, the cities were going to get sales tax. And then they changed it back a little bit to where some of them were exempt, some of them were not exempt. Amber, I'm gonna let you take that.
That's how I understand it too, that there was a push in the push stop to change to origin of destination.
My inkling is that our city's lobbyists were outgunned by the online sales lobbyists. But obviously with the increased amount of online sales that we all face and what it's doing to cities and retail across the country, there has to be a resolution to that ultimately, or cities are going to be hurt financially because of the sales tax lack on that. So I think that the legislature's probably recognizing that, the comptroller's recognizing it. How that works out, I don't know. But if I understand right now, it's hit or miss whether we get it.
Yeah,
Is that fair, Amber?
Yes.
it's just that some of the things we can't, I've tried changing and it just won't let me.
Yeah, I know. We did, well, especially right now when we're all ordering more online than bricks and mortars. It hurts our city's bottom line, not only Rollingwood, but every city's bottom line that relies on that. So, but the good part is, ultimately, I think what's going to be is we have 540 houses. We can identify the address to those houses with the comptroller's office and ask that those sales tax that are associated with that address come to Rollingwood. Some people do PO boxes. Okay, can't do that. That's not going to help us. But the delivery address, usually is going to be a physical address on that. And Amber, I don't think we can do that right now with the comptroller's office. But we can on businesses now. On businesses, we do that. So, and that can be, my guess is 30, 40, 50,000 in additional sales tax a year. Can be that much that comes in when you do the audit for the commercial. So.
Yes, that's been my experience.
So I don't have an answer for you on the residential. I wish I did. That lies over at our legislature. Are they going to take that up this term? I have no idea. It's a contentious. I'm gonna try to remember this. Brooke, you may remember this. You've been doing with government. When Amazon first started in Texas, they picked a city up in North Texas, Grapevine, I believe.
Yes, Grapevine.
And all of the sales tax went to Grapevine. Now,
The state law permitted the vendor to choose either the vendor's state distribution location or the actual purchaser's location. And so Grapevine and San Marcos both made heavy use of that opportunity. And as I understand the status now, those vendors who have chosen a single location for all of their state tax, sales tax revenue, I think there is a process over about a 5 or 6 year period where that will be allocated. And then the other vendors must distribute and report those taxes based on the location of the purchaser. But the culprit here too is the vendor. And so if you can get your product from a vendor that'll show Rollingwood instead of a vendor that'll show Grapevine, that fix can happen that way also, while we're waiting for the legislature to make that change.
Brooke, do you think they'll do it this term?
I have no idea. I just brushed up on it a month or two ago and saw what they'd done last session. They had a lot of pushback from those cities that had relied upon lots of like Grapevine and San Marcos to doing it in a immediate fashion. So my understanding is it's a phase out.
So Phil, we didn't get the winning lottery ticket for doing that, but we certainly would rent them a office space over here if they wanted to call it a headquarters, that they could do that. So not sure that would work either, but this has been going on for 20 some years anyway. This argument's been going on for that long. Hopefully it'll straighten up.
The rest of the legislative world outside of Grapevine and San Marcos are getting smarter about that not benefiting their communities. So there's some hope.
Lots of money, huh?
Yes.
So, okay, any other questions? Great. And we did have an opportunity for the public to speak. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move. So moved.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. And we'll do it the same way. All those in favor, just keep your hand down. And all those that are not in favor of adjourning, please raise your hand. Okay. Thank y'all very much. And this was a short meeting, but I think this was a preface for us to schedule what we needed to schedule on that. So I appreciate it. Thank you all so much.
Thanks.
You bet. Be safe.
All.
Bye.